Hey guys, welcome back to Free Auto Mechanic channel. This episode we're going to be replacing the upper control mount bushings in the front axle. Let's get to it. Doesn't hurt to a little shot of WD on those threads. 15mm socket. We'll see if we can get that to come loose. Just spins. Added a few blocks, jacked it up just to relieve a little bit of pressure. You can see I'm having a little trouble getting that bolt out, and it's pulling sideways. So what I end up doing, I hooked a come along and ran it back, hooked to the back, so I can tighten that up and hopefully be able to pull the bolt out. And I'm going to have to be able to put the bolt back in too, so that's what we're going to do. Got it lined up. It should. So I got it apart. I went ahead and got a set of bushings from Moog. And these are the upper bushings that go on top of the axle housing. So we're going to swap those out. And one thing that we need to take particular care about is when we go to tighten up the bolts, we want to make sure that the vehicle is setting on the ground with all its pressure on it. Then we'll tighten the bolts up. I didn't know that years ago. I've learned it in my research. I guess that can play a huge role on a lot of the pressure in the steering. So it's something that we want to address and take care of. So while I'm doing these control arms, I'm going to loosen the front and the back bolts. And that way when we set it down, we're going to tighten all the bolts up at the same time. Thought I'd share that with you. I'm not going to remove it. I'm just loosening it up. Next step is to press these bushings out. Spray a little WD-40 on here. So what I'm doing is driving my chisel underneath that lip just to try and get a gap and try and work that around. And then, because this is hollow right here, I'm just going to try and drive that bushing right out. So I went ahead and gave myself a little more room, took the spring out, a little more room there, just took the sway bar link loose and the shock loose. I already had the steering loose. So the spring out of the way, we can get a little better access to it. You don't have to do that. I did. And I think what I'm going to try and do is see if I can push it with the C-clamp. It'll either shove the center out, which is okay, or it'll shove the whole thing out. If I can get this contraption on there. And right now, it's just pushing on the center portion, which is just going to grab that rubber. So I don't know if it's going to do anything, but maybe shove that center part out of the way. Hey, look at there. It actually pressed it all the way out. So there's the old one. Yeah. You can see looking at it closely, it's not bad. But we're going to go ahead and replace it anyway. I had a few viewers when I replaced all the upper and lower control arms mention, why didn't you replace those bushings? Why didn't you do those bushings? And they weren't bad. Don't fix it if it ain't broke. But enough people were adamant about seeming that they needed to be replaced. So we'll just go ahead and put new ones in there. Again, all the other ones are new, so why not? Makes sense, I guess. So we'll get that done since we're at a place where I got all the steering off of it anyway. A little bit easier for me. I've seen other videos, and not everybody takes the spring out, but I got to tell you, it didn't take very long at all to just use that press. I've heard people say it took them 4.5 hours to drill the rubber part out and sawzall or something. Hey, for 25 minutes to take a few extra bolts and pull the spring, I think that's where we're going. We'll see on the other side. I'm going to go ahead and clean that area up, clean just the insides there a little bit. I've got a 80 grit flapper wheel. And any of the tools or parts I'll have listed in the description. Got it cleaned up. I'm gonna put a little grease on there, and this lip is what we're driving in. This really just kind of will ease in there, but this lip has got to drive in. And we'll set that in there. I'm gonna find something that'll fit in between here. Because what's going to happen when you go to squeezing on this is going to flex. We want this to stay put, and we want this to move. I'm just going to tap it. And that's just to get it started there. Kind of give us an idea if you need to straighten these up or flex them a little bit. Not too big a deal. You want to try and make sure this is nice and lined up straight. We could probably tap it the rest of the way in by hammer, or you could use the press and press it in. I think I'm going to try the hammer for right now. I'm going to put something in between here, like I said before. That's going to fit. I'm just using, this is a 5/8 wrench. Something that's just going to keep that from coming apart. Went in pretty easy. Looking pretty good. I think that's going to work for us. So now I need to put it back together. I'll reattach my shock, my sway bar, and then we'll go ahead and lift it up to where I can put a bolt in there. And right now I had to loosen the cable on the come along to let that fall down, but I'll go ahead and get that reattached. Then I can pull on the come along to get my bolt started. Just hooking my shock back up. They're 10mm bolts, nut and bolt. I'll need to let it down some to get that back on. Got everything hooked back up. We'll see if we can line that bolt hole back up. Pretty close. And at this point you could get new bolts or reuse your old ones, your choice. And again, I'm not going to tighten these up. I'm going to leave them loose until I get it on the ground. Let's see if we can get this one to come apart. That was just lucky. Huh. I'll take it. Didn't have to use the come along on this side so far. You can see it is sprung. I'm going to loosen it up again back there. And again, we'll wait till I set it on the ground to tighten all the bolts. And I see that our breather hose needs to be replaced. The differential. That might have been how it got some moisture in the differential in the other episode. Just going to fish some coat hanger down through here. Get this up out of the way instead of trying to fight it. Not exactly sure if it's going to work or not, but kind of finagle it on there. I'm trying to get it lined up. There we go. So I've gotten down to where I'm using the pickle fork method. Tried to knurl the outside edges. And I've been working on it for about a half hour this way. It's a long process. But just kind of going around the edges. And I gotta say, so far it doesn't look like it's moved at all. So I'm just gonna keep at it and see where it goes. I might try the C clamp one more time now that I've got some more of it knocked in and around, and just cutting some of the rubber off so I can see underneath of it. Yeah, still got some work to do here. All right, that worked. So here's our old one. You can see what I ended up doing. I just crimped that in a little bit, and then I just used the press. Something else I wanted to point out, and before I was using this bigger sleeve and it wouldn't work, and the smaller sleeve wouldn't go over top of the edges, but whenever I dented in the edge around the lip, I was able to slide this over it. And this is what I ended up using along with the C clamp. Now I need to clean this hole up a little bit and install our new one. I'm going to use my flapper wheel, see if I can get in there and just clean it up a little bit. Kind of give you an idea of what I'm trying to do here. Press it in. Look like it moved some. That's pretty close. get there. All right, beautiful. That's what we're looking for. Oh, so close. Sure looks like it would go. Yeah, it's gonna end up pretty close. Just needs to go just a little bit. I might have to tighten up my come along just a smidge. That's pretty close though. We'll tighten these nuts up once we get it on the ground. Now we've successfully gotten both upper bushings put in on the front axle tube itself. And it didn't turn out to be as terrible as a job as what I've seen out there in the other YouTube videos that I've watched. I found it easier to just remove the passenger side spring and use the press. Worked pretty good. Didn't have to take the spring loose on the driver's side. That wasn't too bad at all. Some advantages that I probably had is having all my steering components removed, which you could easily do yourself. You don't change any of the geometrics of the steering, you just take it loose, do what you need to do, and bolt it back on. You don't have to realign anything. Now, in my case, I'm going to replace everything, but I'll show you that in a separate video. Now, I went ahead and loosened all four upper and lower control arm bolts. I'm going to set it back on the ground, and then we'll go back and we'll retighten all of those bolts and we're going to torque them. So now we just need to get it back on the ground, tighten up all our bolts, including the sway bar links. I don't know if those make a difference or not. I've researched some and everyone says you need to do the control arms with it sitting on the ground. I'm not sure about the sway bar links. I had them loose, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that when it's on the ground as well. If you know different, put it in the comments so everybody knows. We got it back down on the ground. We got all our lug nuts torqued to 100 foot-pounds of torque. It's set and level. Now we're going to go into there. We're going to torque our control arm bushing bolts and our sway bar link bolts. And so what we're looking for is lower control arms. It's going to be 85 foot-pounds at the axle, 130 foot-pounds at the frame. The front upper control arms are going to be 60 on both. The rear control arms, yeah, I'm going to do the rear as well. The rear control arms, the uppers are 55 on both, and the lowers are going to be 130 on both. And then the rear sway bar links, both upper link bolt and connection on the bottom, those bolts are going to be 40. Front link, 45 on top. The lower bolt's going to be 70. And just so you know, the torque specifications, I pulled those numbers from the Chilton manual. And it does mention in the Chilton manual to do exactly what we're doing here. To leave all the bolts loose on the control arms, torque the lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds of torque, lower it down, and then go back and torque all your control arm bolts and your sway bar links. You're going to need a torque wrench that goes up to at least 130 foot-pounds of torque to do this. And I've heard a lot of people say it makes a difference. So we're going to go through that same procedure, make sure everything's correct. I thought it noteworthy to point out that control arm bolt torque spec to 60. It didn't hold up. Kept cranking, it just twisted in half. So didn't make it to 60 foot-pounds of torque. So new bolts. Now that we've got everything torqued to spec, the only thing left to do is to test drive it a little bit. Should be good to go. Thanks for watching.